want to talk about something that is really interesting to me. And it's one of those things that I'm extremely happy and proud that I have learned more about and that I have personal experience with. And that is the higher self. And I know that's a term that a lot of us have heard, and we're just like, okay, well, what is the higher self? And I'm going to go ahead and explain that to you, as well as give you some examples so that you know when you're speaking to your higher self or when your higher self is trying to communicate with you. The higher self is a version of us that exists on a higher vibrational state. It is our internal guidance system, and it provides us with messages, whether it be synchronicities, gut feelings, in a bunch of different ways, depending on who you are and your level of consciousness. But picture this, it's basically our higher self is us. If you strip away this meat suit, this avatar that we've been wearing our entire lives, and strip us completely down to our actual spirit, that is us. And a lot of the times when you are trying to become in alignment with your higher self, you'll hear a voice, at least I do, I hear a voice that sounds like my own. And it is me. It's the version of me that is closest to source energy. The higher self exists at a very high vibrational state or frequency. And that's why it takes a little bit of work to get in tune with our higher self or in alignment with it so that we can get the messages that it's trying to send us. Before I go into how we can align with our higher selves and all the different ways that we can do that, I want to first talk about what the whole purpose is in the first place. What is the higher self supposed to be doing for us? Our higher self guides us toward our highest good and our greatest joys so that we can attract the things that we want in our life. Because our purpose is simply just to follow our inspiration, to be happy, and to simply exist on this earth plane. And our higher self is that guidance system, along with our spirit guides, but that's another video. But our higher self is that little voice in the back of your mind that sounds exactly just like you, that has been telling you certain things. It's also the thing that you could consider your intuition as well. But its purpose is to guide us so that we can grow ultimately. So how do we align to our higher self? How do we listen to that voice that we're hearing, or hear the voice that's been talking to us this entire time? And that's simply by raising your vibration. And raising your vibration is practicing staying in a positive state. And even if you're not in a positive state, not judging yourself for not being in it. So raising your consciousness, doing the things that you already know that you should be doing, like meditating, being still, listening to your intuition, and you can go down the list if you want. But really, everything that you've already been doing is how you can connect more with your higher self. I think the most important thing is discernment, and I talk about this in one of my other videos, is realizing what that voice is. So let's say, for instance, you're driving and you hear a voice that sounds like you. Remember, it's a voice that sounds just like yours. A voice says, turn left instead of right. And you normally go left because that's your way to work, but you decide to take, that the voice says, why don't you go a different route? So you decide to go left. And it turns out that there was a big accident on the normal route that you take to work, and it would have taken you a whole hour to get there. But now you've gone around and you think to yourself, for like maybe 1 second, when you get to your job, and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then you move about your day. No, that was your higher self. Take a second there, realize that that was not a coincidence, because there are no such things as coincidences, and realize that your higher self was giving you a simple direction to follow. And can you imagine that your higher self has been giving you that your entire life, and you never knew that's what it was? So just take that in for a second, Once you get used to hearing that voice and realizing what it is, then you could start following it more and more. And the more you follow it, again, the more you attract the things that you want, which is exactly what our purpose is here for. We're supposed to just exist, attract, learn, grow, and raise our frequency, raise our vibration for the next life. I want to give you some more examples, specifically personal ones, that I heard my higher self, I listened to it, and something amazing happened. I was just recently at the Conscious Life Expo in LA for this year. And it was, first of all, it was an amazing time. And there was a moment where I was waiting at a restaurant or a cafe inside of the hotel that we were at um, for breakfast. And I was waiting a while because I was just one person, and people that had two or more parties with them were getting seated a lot quicker. So my higher self said, why don't you ask him to sit with you? And it was referring to an elderly man to my right that was also by himself and was waiting in line. And before I did anything, the first thing I did was doubt my higher self. I told myself, I was like, you know what? That's going to be kind of weird. He's a complete stranger. He's going to think I'm a weirdo for asking him to eat breakfast with me. He doesn't even know me. And I went back and forth for a couple of seconds. And then I remembered, no, this is my higher self. I'm going to listen to her. And so I spoke to the waitress and I said, would it be quicker for us to be seated if there were two people with me instead of just being by myself? And she said yes. And I said, all right, boom. So I walked over and I was like, hi, my name's Tanisha. And it looks like we will be seated a lot quicker if it was, one or more than one person. And he looked at me. He was like, okay. And I was like, would you like to share a table? And he paused for a second. He said, sure. So we walk over, we sit down. After a long conversation, this really great conversation I had with this complete stranger, he tells me that his wife is a medium. Now, just a little backstory here. The night prior, I had just complained about two readings that I had gotten sucked into out of guilt, which be careful with that one. They'll, some of these readers, these intuitive people are very salesman-y, and I got caught into a sale and I spent like $111. And I remember being like, dang, I wish I hadn't spent that much. So I was kind of complaining to myself the night before about the quality of the reading that I received and how much it was. Fast forward to the restaurant scene. We're sitting at the table. The elderly man that I'm sitting across from tells me that his wife is a medium. And I remember feeling this warm feeling inside, like, maybe this is why my higher self told me to speak with you. And basically he told me that, where she was located in the hotel for the event. As soon as I got done with breakfast, I went to go see her. We had a quick chat. Went back after a workshop that I went to, sat down with her for about 40 minutes and had one of the best readings of my life. And some of the things that she mentioned in the reading were things that I really needed help with in that moment. So I say all of that to say that this is how the higher self works. This is how the universe works in general. Is if you follow that feeling, you follow that guidance system that we're receiving, that we're getting from our guides, from our higher self. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's positive, because if it's not positive, then it's not for your greatest good. But if you follow that guidance system, then you will get the things that you want. Anywhere from between a reading, something small like a reading like that, or all the way to something monetary, like a house or what have you. It's breadcrumbs that you follow that will lead you to attract what you want. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be a mindset. In this case, in the story that I just told, it was my mindset. A lot of things happened to me in that, in that time period where I went to that event. And that's just one example, but it was all sourced from me listening to my higher self. So, just to go over it, our higher self is our guidance system. And a lot of the times it sounds exactly like us. And you might consider it your conscience. But think of it this way. Would your conscience, does your conscience always need to be something that's correcting the things that you do? Absolutely not. I think a lot of the times our conscience has been misunderstood, that it's actually just our higher selves, the self that is closest to source energy, the self that, the way I like to view it is this picture here. Actually, I just want to show you this really cool picture that I created on using AI. This is what I picture. This is for my visual people. I like to visualize things too. This is how I learn, is by seeing things. So look at this picture over here on my left. And notice that we have our meat suit, right? We have that shell, the avatar that everyone sees. And deep, deep inside is our higher self. And that's that energy that is more connected to anything, connected to your passed away loved ones, everything that you've ever cared about, anything that you've ever want is already, like, it literally, we already have it. And I'm going on a tangent here. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. But everything that you ever want, you already have. It's out there. It's literally in what Abraham Hicks would consider the vortex, right? All you need to do is start connecting the puzzle pieces, connecting the dots, following the breadcrumbs that our higher self and our guides are leaving us, and everything will start coming to you. And it's such a beautiful thing when that starts happening, because then you wonder, it's like, wow, I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. And if I had known that when I was however age, my life would have been 10 times better than it has ever been. But what we don't want to get stuck on is that mindset. That mindset will keep us behind. Just know that you know now. And now you can use those tools so that you can attract what you want. So, if I helped you at all in this video understand what the higher self is, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for existing.